how would you like to achieve the first million? And today we have Logan Weaver with us, which he's founded Somod when he was 20 years old, very young. We're now helping over 120 million across 35,000 active accounts access personalized software-driven investment management. In 2024, he is the fastest growth investment management business in the world by means of IUM percent of growth. So Logan, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend to entrepreneurs in order to achieve the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah. So absolutely. I guess just to double click on that, those numbers are now even a little bit higher. So we're 150 million under management. And essentially, so the kind of long story short is it took us 2 years to find product market fit. And so I would say the quick feedback that I would have for anybody is, find a problem that you're actually passionate about. And then, essentially it's all about, because if you're not passionate about it, then there's going to be hard times. And when you actually face the hard times, you need to be able to get through them. So I would say something that you're actually passionate about allows you to kind of trudge through the dark days. And then it's really just a matter of finding people who can help materialize it, whether that's advisors, have always been a huge kind of, catalyst for us, advisors and mentors, as well as just the people that you're building with. Oftentimes, maybe when we did this too, like there's almost this appeal to, especially in the early days, like spend less money, kind of hire contractors, and kind of move as close to zero burn as possible. But it's actually a lot better to just get very smart people who can kind of take ownership, and that will make your life a lot better. So that's another thing that I kind of did wrong for a little while. And then it's all just a matter of moving really quickly. And in moving quickly, being able to set things up such that you can actually learn from data, because you're going to have a lot of things that, you're going to see shiny objects, you're going to get pulled in different directions. And that data is actually what keeps you kind of on a straight road. And it's just talking to customers and then really just not being afraid to iterate. We've pivoted 3 times, maybe 4 times at this point. And with each one, we have a lot more understanding of where we fit into the market. And then ultimately, we kind of ended up pivoting to where we are now, which is we are absolutely just crushing it. Our revenue is skyrocketing. We're going to end up 3xing revenue within the next 45 days.
Wow.
So it really, once you find product market fit, and we said that we had product market fit 6 months ago, and then we actually found it, and we were like, oh, that's what that feels like. You will absolutely know it when you have it. Things just kind of, they don't become easy, but it definitely, it's just everything becomes a lot clearer. So it took us a while to find it. We've made a lot of mistakes on the way, and I'm happy to talk through them and share through experience.
Logan, I love how you describe this and getting product market fit. Something that that is the main, in my opinion, the main reason the business fail out there, because I'm glad that you guys find it, because if you don't, and then you cannot last forever in business, right?
Yeah.
So, however, we have sometimes and look at you, you were founded with 20 years old, so young. So how you realize that is not the product that you wanted for you? We have we interview over 500 millionaires in this broadcast, and we all been there, that when we are first time founders, we love our product, we want our product to be the best, yeah, and we put all the money, time, and energy in our product, and we kind to build in the product for us to solve the problem, and for us. And probably most of few stories in this broadcast, even my one. I started my business because I solved the problem for myself, and then I started to solve the same problem for other people, and this is how I got the business. And a lot of people in this broadcast have similar story. My question is the following: when you realize, when you were very young, 20 years old, that this is it, I had to pivot. I know that it's painful to pivot. It's expensive. Maybe the way that you want to pivot the product now, you don't think, and you think that your product is good the way it is, and clients will come in that way, and it's very difficult for a young for a 20-year-old founder to let that go, the initial idea, and to pivot it, and then knowing that, okay, I'm gonna pivot it once, but no. It's not one, it's not two, it's three, it's not 100 meters, it's like a marathon. When you started the company 20 years old, do you knew that it's gonna be it's gonna take so long, and you need to pivot and iterate the initial product so many times?
No, I definitely had no idea that it was going to be this kind of windy of a journey. I didn't expect it to be a fast journey, but I mean, full transparency, Surmount wasn't even started to be like a commercial product. It started as just a friends and family kind of tool to help them invest in some of the portfolios that I was building. And then it ultimately kind of expanded from there. So with each iteration, like the initial concept started smaller, and then it just kind of snowballs, and it kind of re-navigates a couple of times. But essentially we started as just a data layer. So we wanted to basically collect as much data that can be applied to financial markets as possible, and then use that to invest on. And then it just scaled from there. So the first couple of clients looked honestly nothing like they do today. It was student managed investment funds. It was 19-year-olds that were saying, hey, I have this idea, I don't know how to turn it into an actual trading strategy. And then we stayed on the infrastructure side, and then we had a pretty great back end, and said, I guess this means we have to be a consumer app. And there was a lot of shiny
wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of shiny
consumer app sounds expensive.
Exactly. So that's another thing. So I do want to bring this to light. We were in a very fortunate position to where we've never been deeply capitalized, but we've always had like a rainy day fund. We've always had a little bit of money on the side that if we need to, we can put it into the company. So that allowed us to be really lean for a long time. And I think it was an advantage, because if you look at it now, a couple of years zoomed out, a lot of the competitors who raised 10 million, 15 million, they are locked in to that concept, and it's hard for them
100%.
because all of their investors are expecting them to deliver on that. Whereas I think
they lose flexibility by getting funding, right?
They use flexibility. And I think there's a push and pull with that. My thought process has always been build a great business, understand it, and then hunt down investor dollars. And we've brought in some amazing angels, a couple of VC funds who are great, but we've never really done an official venture round yet. We're actually working on a first one right now. So I would say
wow, you're very investable.
Trying to be. I would say the realization for us was the flexibility in not having sold 30%, 40% of the company by this stage. That allowed us to go in and test out these different channels that we were seeing opportunity in. But if we had $10 million that was, hey, we're this type of company, we probably wouldn't have been able to chase those opportunities. And those are ultimately what kind of 10x'd the company. So I would say for us, one of the biggest challenges is almost taking funds, and just funding in itself as a whole. That could be an hour-long podcast in itself. How to raise funds, when to raise funds. But I think we just we kind of got lucky in that we always really over-indexed on building an amazing infrastructure and a great business model, and then we've kind of just fallen into transparently, Andreessen Horowitz just reached out to us a couple of weeks ago. They had given us an award and we couldn't get an email back from them for like a year and a half. It kind of happens. There's a lot of founders out there that think, I have to raise $3 million on day one. That way I can go and build this. And realistically, I would say, and you're going to get all sorts of different conflicting opinions on this, but my opinion is there's actually a lot more benefit if you can to being undercapitalized until you're pretty sure you have something, and then once you see the direction to run in, that's when it's time to just pour money on it. It's kind of like the whole back the truck up moment.
You don't want to be pivoting with all these people money, yeah. That's a very very difficult road. But Logan, the 1 out of 5 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 people that we interview in this broadcast, they are tech entrepreneurs. We already interviewed 500 millionaires, so we can say that 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, they are tech entrepreneurs, they are tech millionaires. Some people that have been in this broadcast with several exits in tech and so on. And we always ask this question, right? For clarity and for our audience, right? Because number one, our audience, despite what I say, I know what they're thinking. Oh, if 1 out of 5 coming to Harry's podcast on the Stop of How to Make a Million, they're tech entrepreneurs. The other ones are property investors. That's it. It's easy to become a millionaire in tech, and it's easy to become a millionaire in property. I won't say that easy is not a word that I will mention. I will say that there are good vehicles, but number one, did you knew before you started 20 years old that you were in a vehicle that if you pull it off was more lucrative that other ones, especially because tech companies, they get value higher than other companies. We can talk about that later. Did you knew that you have a big chance, or you just jump in there for fun and somehow, and after you find out, like, wow, I'm building a multi-million dollar business here. I was not expecting this. And also, tell the truth to the tech founders, the good, the bad, and the ugly of of being a tech founder, a tech CEO, and a tech entrepreneur. Of course, when you find product, if it look at you like, wow, this is how it looks like. When you get there, is happiness and money's coming, and now the investor will come and they will throw money at you because you see you have sales and things are working. But tell them about the process before, so people have an honest, a clear path what actually they are facing, and your path. If I compare your path with everybody successful that has spoken in this podcast, everybody sharing the same thing. I haven't found anybody yet knowing the tech space or anybody that tell me, Harry, you won't believe I create this product and exactly how I created. The people went there and bought millions. Yeah. I still haven't found this story yet. Everybody, Harry, I started, we had to pivot and again and funds and the thing, and we need to try and this and that. And after, when we get lucky, we're not going to use the word lucky, when more trial and error until you find the thing. So tell the entrepreneurs, but especially tech entrepreneurs, lots of them listen to this podcast, the good, the bad, and the ugly of being a tech CEO and founder.
Yeah, so for sure I would say before anything, luck is definitely some sort of a factor, but I forget who said it, but I think it was some athlete.
I don't think it's luck. I think it's perseverance.
Luck is a factor, but you almost create your luck, right? Because if you're showing up consistently and like putting in the reps, day in, day out, even when there's not much to show for it, like that is creating luck. And if you do that consistently enough, and if you're, pushing out there in terms of expanding your network, like something will happen. It's kind of hard, unless you're just a bad person. It's kind of hard for people to just want to help you. So it's a good, bad, ugly. So I started Surmount when I was in college, quite literally in the middle of a cornfield. It was COVID, rural Maryland. I had no network, didn't know anybody in tech. I don't come from tech, like my family doesn't come from tech.
Wow.
But I do come from mathematics and an investment management background. So my thought process was I had kind of got some experience into the tech side of investment management through Acorns, which is a really great investment application started by Jeffrey Crediton. So I had seen that there was this trend towards more people managing their own investments than like working with a human advisor or anything of that nature. And I just wanted to capitalize on that opportunity, because the main thing that I saw is if you're working with a human advisor or even a robo-advisor, transparently, you're pretty much just filling out, the onboarding, and then you get thrown into a bucket. And I've been obsessed with that problem since I was in college of, investment management actually isn't for the client. It really benefits, the large companies that are managing the clients, and they get all sort of commissions. It's just not for the client. So I think for us, the good, bad, and ugly was quite literally just starting a company without knowing anybody or anybody mentors wise or in the industry wise. Like we just knew no one. So that was the challenge. And I would say like the whole your net worth is your network is quite factual. Like every big unlock for the company has come through someone that we met somehow or another. A client introduction or getting into Techstars or acquiring a Y Combinator company. Like it's all been through meeting someone else. So I would say really focus on your network, focus on maintaining your network. Don't just get people into it, but also, make sure that you're keeping up with them. And then it's really just a matter of showing up every day. And then, so the path to starting Surmount was actually kind of funny because, again, I think I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I didn't care to start my own company at the time. It was just a project that I thought could look good on a resume.
You were looking for a job, actually, yeah.
Exactly. I was more so looking for a job out of college. And then the more that we built, the more that we kind of got to talking to people that were using it, we just had the realization that this is actually probably a lot larger of a problem than we initially thought. Maybe, therefore it could be, a company. And then we just got pretty lucky within 3 months of saying maybe we could be a company. We had gotten into Techstars, and that changed everything. So that was the big network unlock for us, was Techstars. They brought in like the founder of GoFundMe. They brought in phenomenal entrepreneurs, mentors, kind of legal folks, you name it. And that was kind of the first big unlock. Because again, I knew nobody before that. So I would say really the main point here is it's all about who you know. Like don't ever feel any type of way about putting yourself out there. Like you should be. There is actually a strength in being the type of person that, if you're at a conference and, you're one of the people on the right, there'll be a whole room sitting down. There'll be maybe like 5 guys, 3 or 5 guys or girls, waiting on the right for the speaker to come down and they have something to say to it. Like be that person that is just hungry, that chases after it. You're not going to, I've never had an experience where I like approach a stranger or like go up to somebody and something of that nature. Nobody has ever, taken the approach of, get out of here. It just doesn't happen. People are, in a worst case, they're just too busy and say no, but they've never been rude. And I would say that is the single biggest unlock for the company is just meeting people, constantly expanding the network, constantly trying to figure out who can introduce me to XYZ. So I would say that answers the one portion of the question. I might have forgotten
the good, the bad, and the ugly of the tech.
Oh yeah. So tech is great when it works. When it doesn't, it's like really.
When it doesn't, it's expensive, no?
Yeah, when it doesn't, it's really expensive and depressing. Real estate, that's come up a couple times. That's kind of like the sure, slow way to build, some sort of equity, some sort of ownership. Tech is not sure, and it's not slow. When it happens fast, and it happens like, it's intense. I think the problem with tech is a lot of people expect it a lot, like there's almost a misunderstanding around how it all works because of like TechCrunch and traded VC and whatnot, that are, you always only see the huge deals that are happening and like what people are doing. You never hear about just like the thousands of founders that are doing well, that are kind of just getting their butts kicked.
And definitely nobody hear about those ones that fail.
Yeah.
Nobody tell these stories.
Yeah, and there's a lot of failure. Like
a lot.
If we wanted to, we could have failed multiple times.
Look at this. You have a lot of opportunity to say, you know what, this is it. I'm gonna find a job. How many times? How many times do you thought this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know how many times I've thought that, because I don't know how well I would do at a job, honestly. Like I really like the ability to like work on something that I'm passionate about. I don't know how unless I'm working somewhere where I'm like bought in and passionate about what the product is or what the mission is, it would probably be a little bit tough. I don't know. I would say for us, it's really just been, it was a grind up until 6 months ago, up until 3 months ago. It was a grind almost. Like it's with each kind of unlock of the company, things just get easier. You can onboard, more people that can help out. I don't know. It's just the early part of anything. The 0 to 1 stage sucks. Not fun. There's no way around it. It's gonna suck. You have to learn. You just have to kind of get those scars. Because without that, you're not ready for the next step. Like until you actually know what you have, how to sell it, where it fits into the market, just kind of all those questions that investors are going to ask and need answers to, you're not going to be ready to take the next step. So I think the misconception with tech is there's so much funding out there and everybody gets funding. All you need is an idea.
And there is a lot of millionaires, and it's easy to become a millionaire in tech. Yeah,
there's a lot of people. There is so many on paper millionaires in tech. That's one of the big things to actually keep an eye out for, though. It's like, somebody might be worth 20 million on
today
paper.
And tomorrow. No, today, and when it's tech, with tech, you have to be careful. Tomorrow, somebody can wipe you out like this.
Yeah. It's just building something that, you're passionate about. You can kind of stick through it. Anything, no matter what you do, is going to be a long haul, unless you're, a founder of OpenAI or something of that nature, where you can just kind of start an idea and get a bunch of money. It's going to be a haul. So just find people that you can kind of, stack up with and just go through, roll through the tides with, and the rest, as long as you actually have something that is viable, you'll figure it out. And that's another thing. Sunken cost fallacy is huge in tech. You got to avoid it like the plague. Like we've done it a couple of times. Don't get so married. Don't ever get married to an idea, because that will restrict any ability to actually get all the success of tech. If you just get married to an idea and say, no, this is what it is, despite customers saying, it's not really what it is. I've seen it with a couple of companies, and it's tough because, like you said, it's your baby. You want your baby to, it's just like, oh, maybe they don't get it yet. They just don't get it yet. We change like the front end or something, and it's probably not what it is. So, be really honest with yourself, and then have people around you that can be honest with you, and then just the rest is a grind. No matter how you put it, it's going to be a grind. It gets easier as you go, but definitely that 0 to 1 is going to be tough.
And then when you have in this process of 0 to 1, we're gonna talk now about mental health, because in this 0 to 1 process, we've been there. I've been there, and exactly, it's tough. I always say that being an entrepreneur is a skill. The more you practice, the better you become. It's like driving, right? So going to 0 to 1, what is happening is you are developing the skill, right? The problem is that when you're learning how to drive this vehicle, you You had to be flexible. You had to pivot. You had to let go your ego. I think that my biggest issue was that when I started the business and I make some money, I'm the big deal, I'm the big boss. Everybody have to do what I say. I don't trust anybody. You start like that, and later do you know that you're so exhausted and so tired, and you realize that you cannot run everything yourself. That you have to let that go. Everything you need to start to hire people, and in my company, when I started to hire people, they were all of them better than me at everything. They were my managers, and I was so happy. I was asking to my manager, "How you do that? That's amazing. How come you rent the room so quickly?" You see, uh, so the team will, if you are humble enough, if you surrender your ego, you can. You will be able to move forward. But in this 0 to 1, especially at the beginning, that you have this battle with yourself, and you have nobody knows you. You know nobody. I'm same like me when I started my first business. Nobody. I knew, I didn't know nobody, and I even get the pro market fit without knowing anybody. It's zero, by myself, like trying and error, like suffering, things like that. But at the beginning, I remember that you said that it sucks. Like when in that process that nobody knows you, you don't know anybody, the first client want to pay you less because nobody knows you and they know you starting the business. Then the supplier want to pay you less as well because and they give you high condition than anybody else. And then you have your mom and your dad. Look, you should go and find a job. What are you doing? And then you go to your friends and you see, look, guys, I'm doing this business and everybody's an employee, so nobody really cares. And now you need to come back and say, man, mom and dad give me a headache. Uh, my friends don't care about what I'm doing. Clients want to pay me less. Supply want to charge me more. I need to make these things work. So it's so much an emotional pain
Yeah.
that if you don't work on that emotional pain, uh, some people can become physical pain. They can end up in a heart attack, in a burnout, in cancer, you name it. So when you realize, Logan, that the first how you started, which is 20 years old, I'm gonna create this, and this thing gonna work. But then you have to have that process that let go this ego, let go this I'm a big boss, and now become not even an entrepreneur and a leader, which leadership also requires skills. So how was this process for you, and how you realize that you do have to work on yourself? You have to be careful what you eat because you have to be healthy, especially when you're responsible for people, you employ people. You have to be careful. You are like, if I'm getting sick, what's gonna happen? So how you realize that you do need to work on yourself, and we take more pressure, more responsibility than everybody else out there as entrepreneurs. So how you work this challenge?
Yeah. So I'd say I was fortunate in that I was always I always played sports growing up. Got really into MMA in high school, and like that world is just
MMA. That's what you practice.
yeah. So
You should practice something more safe. You're in
that
business. How about
submission,
swimming?
that and like submission wrestling are really discipline and this kind of mentality for like constant evolution without any sort of ego. So I think I credit a lot, just that background. Without it, I don't know that I would have been able to like
Wow, that's a great story. Really powerful. Glad to
there.
hear.
Thank you, thank you. Like you said, there are dark times, man. Like even when on the exterior the company's looking good, like maybe we need cash or something, that like there are times where it's just you feel it and nobody's gonna feel it as much as you as the kind of CEO founder.
And times plural is not one, several in the 0 to 1.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know. I would say just coming from that world, and there's sometimes where, the momentum stops, it's hard to get going again. You have to do what you know you need to do based on the standards that you've set for yourself. And whether you are or not. And I think ego death is an extremely, and you've mentioned a couple times, it's so important. You can't, when things are going great in the company, like there is a natural part of your brain that is much older than us that basically wants to tell you like, oh, you're the man. This is what it is. You're
a
on
big
it.
deal.
Yeah, but you can't listen to that at all. Like I call it the golden god syndrome, where like when you see founders that start to get that, that's if you could short private companies, that would be a good time to start shorting private companies. It's like founders with that golden god syndrome thinking that they can't do anything wrong. Like Adam Newman, I don't know him at all, so maybe that's not the great example, but like just everything that happened with WeWork and the story that, kind of became pretty public, like that's an example of somebody that thought they kind of couldn't do anything wrong. So the most important time to, kind of lock in and make sure that your head is level is when things are going great, because that's when you don't want to. Like that's when naturally you're like, we're killing it, we're crushing it. But that is when, if you don't keep your foot on the gas and keep your eyes focused, you're gonna crash. And it might not be like a fatal crash, but you're gonna crash, or at least swerve. So I've struggled with the whole mental health thing a handful of times. I mean, it's hard. I've burnt out.
We all been there.
Yeah, I've burnt out many times. At this point, I'll burn out again. But
so how you deal with it? How you deal with it? Are you going to practice MMA? That's what you do when you to get out of the. Wow.
I get after it. Yeah, I get after it when I'm too stressed mentally. It's just I have to run, I have to train, I have to do something. And
for me, walking is working very good.
Well, even if you just run for an hour
and play tennis, I like to play tennis.
Tennis is great. I'm not great at tennis, but I like playing it. I play against beats me. But yeah, just doing something. I used to be.
Yeah, but there's no part of you that said, "Look, that I should stay in the office. I should keep working. I haven't achieved this target yet. And if I go there to practice a sport, because I used to be like this, I used to be. There's no way that I'm going to the park. There's no way that I'm going to the gym. There's no way that I'm going there. I need to solve this problem. I need to achieve the sales. I need to do this. I need to save my company first. That was 17 years ago when I started in business, maybe 18 years ago. Now I'm thinking how crazy I was spending time without sleep and don't looking after myself just for a problem that on top of that, you think that you're working, but you're just in front of the computer and going in circles in your own brain because and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Whether you go out, go for a sport, walk for a work, and then take a shower, whatever, and then come back next day, you can have a good sleep, and look, the solution can be there. But we prefer, no, I'm not sleeping, I'm not doing anything until this problem is solved. And it's very easy to be in that. I mean, I was your age, and so probably I double your age right now. But what I'm saying is that sometimes when we are entrepreneurs, we need, like I share with you, we believe from this podcast, we want entrepreneurs to be healthy, wealthy, and happy. It was one entrepreneur that we interviewed in this podcast. He had 3 businesses, turning over $1 million in one of each businesses, and the guy was vomiting blood. And he told me in this podcast, Harry, you know what? I arrived to a conclusion. I'm running this business is not running me. And then he took a plane and went 1 year to Thailand. So mental health is a big part of it. So how you deal with it, and what advice, what message do you have for your fellow tech founders about working on themselves so they can they can be on point for the next day, because this is a marathon. It's not, it doesn't take, it doesn't finish quick, and you have to be on point every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you said it. I was about to make that exact same point of there was, a time when, my go-to was stay up for a couple days and I think you pretty much just said it. So I think just
That's
going out
exactly how
and
you deal. Yeah.
being able to actually at least partially unplug for a couple hours is a really good skill set to develop.
And be aware. Yeah. Now, how you design a product, right? You realize that there was a problem because the investment funds, the solutions out there, there were no more fulfilling for the clients, right? So how do you do? What was your idea? How you can you change this industry, and how to bring more value? Because you see, if you bring more value to those clients, they will come to you. So how you design this process to get them more value that we can find anywhere else?
Yeah. So I think for us, we've always been focused on high personalization at scale. So essentially, the vision from very early on was making it such that instead of, you have 80 clients that are in one portfolio, it's kind of almost, you have 80 clients and each of them can have their own personalized portfolio and an investment management experience. So I think that's kind of the big early concept that motivated us, and then there's been a lot that stemmed off of that. But ultimately, what we've really over-indexed on is just making it such that we can provide that true high level of personalization at scale across the industry, whether that's RAs, consumer apps, clearing firms, etc. So that ultimately is kind of where things got started, and to this day, where our number one product is.
So you can adapt to the client's needs, more flexibility, right?
Exactly. So instead of, because the alternative is right now, if I'm your investment manager, I'm not going to wake up every morning and check your positions and all of that. It's I have many clients to manage, and there's not an easy way for a human to do that effectively at scale. So we kind of built software that makes it a lot easier for humans to still provide the great kind of human loop experience that a lot of people go to investment managers for, but at the same time, software is the one that's at the end of the day kind of managing.
So the software is replacing the investment manager, or is helping the investment manager to do his job?
Yeah, I think it depends. Like if we're working with a consumer application, the answer might be to replace an investment manager, but I don't think investment managers are going anywhere. I think they just need to evolve a little bit. Like the industry's kind of stayed in its kind of same space for decades almost, to where innovation was in like the 80s with Jack Bogle with index funds. Aside from that, there really hasn't been any sort of innovation investment management that's client centric. It's all just been around like how can the big companies make even more money at the end of the year, which is it's good if it's helping somebody, but in this case, it's not actually providing that much more value to clients. So we're trying to essentially fill that gap.
Very good. And then Logan, tell us about scaling up, right? Because when you have a small company and you're growing, you have very limited resources, and you don't know what to do with these resources. Do you put the money in building the tech? Do you put the money in trying to find a new client and network? Do you put the money in building a relationship with clients? So in your process of 0 to 1, if I give you $100, how much of this money you will take to product development, and how much to this money you will take to go out and meet new people and build your network, right? Which is actually you're not only gonna find the client in this process, but also the client will tell you how they wanna buy the product and how much they're gonna pay you for it. So um, so our tech founders can have an idea how to manage resources when they are limited resources. So if you have $100, how much you use basically for product development and for sales and marketing?
Yeah. So yeah, for I guess just from experience sharing, we really over-indexed on product. All the kind of networking events and you don't really have to pay for those. Some are good to go
Takes
to.
you time. It costs. It doesn't cost money, but it costs time.
Yeah, for sure. I think really just for us, I can't speak on, because there are some companies where their business model or their product would make complete, sense to go in the opposite direction. But we over-indexed on product, and then we're still very active. Like we've always been doing public speaking at like universities and investor conferences and whatnot, and that's been pretty fruitful. Luma, like the events application, is pretty fruitful. You can find a bunch of free events. I'd say for us, it's really just we over-indexed on building a solid product, and then only after that did we say, how do we get this in front of people? We grew by word of mouth largely.
If you had to start all over it again, would you do it the other way around? Go in front of people, then ask them what they want and after build it?
Not for this company. I think we did it the right way with this company. I think with some companies, it definitely makes sense, or depending on like what your level of experience is with a certain problem, it definitely makes sense to kind of do like the Deloitte model, which is go out, like scour the market for as much information as you can get, and then take that and determine what you build. I have never done it that way, but there's nothing wrong with doing it that way. I've seen a lot of people find a lot of success in doing that way. Just I think for us, we knew what the issue was going into it that we wanted to solve for, at least like the core root issue.
And really, you knew that people were ready to pay for it, yeah?
No, we had no idea. We were pretty sure that it could be commercialized, but we didn't.
You didn't know how, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it took us a couple years. We just started making money the beginning of last year. So we were a project for a while, a company for a shorter period.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically, yeah, could be. So what can you now, if you have to start all over again, what would you do different?
That's a good question. If I had to start all over again, I would have just saved time by actually setting things up early on such that the data was very accurate, and then listening to the data. And we would have made the pivot a year before we did.
Wow.
That. Yeah.
Very good. So then 50-50, put more resources in getting the data, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Getting the data, analyzing the data, listen to the market, right? There are two things only: product development and listen to the market, and sell it, marketing, all this. So, so if you need to start all over again, you will pay more attention to the data. Basically, you will pay more attention to the feedback that the people were telling you and the feedback that the data was telling you how they want the product and what form they wanted, right?
Yeah, feedback, whether that's directly from them or whether that's just like from like I don't know, Google Analytics, Clarity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is normal. This is it's very common, especially with the first-time founders. You see, we all been there. That people don't. You get in love with your product. You get in love with your product. You get emotion attached to it. You wanted that this product sell in the way that you really believe that it's gonna solve the problem, and the market is telling you otherwise, and it's difficult to let that go.
Yeah. People, building off of data-driven, data-informed decisions are.
Exactly. So pay more attention. There you go. That's why, I think you're gonna do fantastic, and you're very investable. You're gonna do very well in your funding. Yeah. Hopefully we can help you. So Logan, how people can find you? People that are in love with this conversation. Tell us a little bit more about your company. How people can find you. How can you help them with, and how this process work?
Yeah. So if anybody's interested in highly personalized investment management, you can just go to surmount.ai, and then that'll be the main way to interact with the product. And then you can find me at just LinkedIn/Logan Weaver, I think is what it is.
That's fantastic. And on that note, see you guys in our next episode of Unstoppable. How brave entrepreneurs like Logan break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.